Welcome to the Where Do Gays Retire podcast, where we help you in the LGBTQ plus community find a safe and affordable retirement place. Join Mark Goldstein as he interviews others who live in gay-friendly places around the globe. Learn about the climate, cost of living, healthcare, crime and safety, and more. Now, here's your host, Mark Goldstein.
Would you like to know what it's like to live in Oliva, Spain? Oliva, that sounds like a Green Acres Oliva to me. Today we have our guests, Brad Shreve and Maurice Chevalier, with us, and I'll tell you a little bit about both of these gentlemen. Brad and his husband, Maurice, didn't just wake up one morning and randomly pick Spain. They actually spent time seriously debating between Ecuador and Spain. And in the end, Spain won out for one big reason: a better quality of life at a lower cost. They were also paying attention to something interesting in the expats groups online. In places like Uruguay, people would constantly tell newcomers, "You should definitely move here," and then turn around and complain nonstop about life there. In the Spanish groups, though, that wasn't happening. People were far more positive, and that really made Brad and Maurice dig deeper into Spain as a real option. They weren't just looking for any place to live. They had a very specific wish list. They wanted somewhere that was openly gay-friendly, which, let's be honest, it's kind of a given in Spain. They wanted a smaller town under about 80,000 people. I think Oliva is like 28,000 people, if I'm not mistaken. They wanted a place on the Mediterranean, but not a place that gets totally overrun by tourists in high season. It had to be affordable, totally walkable, so they wouldn't need a car, and close enough to a major city to have easy access to everything. Brad comes from a hospitality background and spent years working in the hotel industry, primarily with Marriott. Maurice has spent about 25 years working in IT for the same company. He still is with them today, but he switched from a W-2 employee to a 1099 independent contractor to qualify for Spain's digital nomad visa. And one of these things Brad and Maurice talk about most people is why they moved. It wasn't about politics, at least not first. It was about lifestyle, community, and the belief that small town living in Spain deserves far more attention than it gets. So today we're going to get into their story, what they found, and why they think places like Oliva might just be one of Spain's best kept secrets. Okay, so welcome to the podcast, Brad and Maurice. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us. Yes.
Sure. So let's start off. Start off telling us your story. Who are you? Where are you from originally? And what were your lives like before moving abroad?
I'll let Brad start with this one.
Well, I was born in Michigan, and but then ended up growing most of my life in North Carolina, which is good. It was a good testing ground for me to move somewhere that is now very humid, because North Carolina is very similar in vein to this area when it comes to climate. And then with Marriott, I moved around a lot, quite a bit, until I finally settled in Los Angeles. That became my home. That's where I left the hotel industry. I went on disability for a while, or have been on disability for a while. And it's where I met this guy and kind of liked him. And so we've been together, 20-something years.
Yeah.
And that's most of my background. It's been the past few years, we've been in the California desert.
And for me, my background is I was actually born in Madrid, Spain. My dad was actually in the Air Force and stationed here in Spain. So I'm kind of coming back home full circle. But we moved from here to Apple Valley in '81, and I grew up most of my younger days in the Apple Valley, California, and then ultimately moved to Los Angeles, where we ended up meeting. And then recently we moved back to Apple Valley to take care of my dad, and ultimately, when he passed, take care of my mother. And that's pretty much it.
And I want to say,
Oh.
Apple Valley is in the desert, and your listeners, when we say the California desert, are probably instantly zoning in on Palm Springs. No, we were not in a gay enclave in any way, shape, or form.
It's actually a much colder environment than Palm Springs. Palm
And-
Springs is usually about 10 to 20 degrees minimum higher in temperature day and night than Apple Valley in the
And-
high desert.
And one of the
That's
brightest red spots
significant.
of California.
Politically.
If there is such a way.
Politically.
Yes,
Yeah.
politically.
Oh, okay. So why did you decide it was time to leave the United States? What was the final push or the final straw that made you think, okay,
I'll start this one.
Yeah.
we're going
Mine.
to do
No,
it?
go ahead.
We had been discussing it for quite a few years, long before my father ever got diagnosed with cancer. And so it was something that we've been thinking about for quite a few years. Originally it was Uruguay that we settled on. And then
you mentioned Ecuador. We did actually for a while. I was somewhat
we
gung ho.
decided that.
He said absolutely not. So we did move on, and then went to Uruguay.
Yeah. So Uruguay was where we were actually thinking of planning. We were actually in the planning stages of moving there when my dad actually got sick. And so we kind of dropped everything, moved up to take care of my dad, and ultimately my mom. And we were always looking for something more than just, as you mentioned earlier, we're looking for something more than just getting out of the country. We weren't escaping anything. We were just looking for different type of culture to deal with. And I think ultimately,
Yeah. We actually, looking at Uruguay, we actually talked to a relocation specialist there. We were not 100%, but we were pretty close to 100% that that's where we were going to go. And then when we took a step back, and we thought because Maurice was born here that he had been told his entire life that he was a dual citizen. And so that's why we took a closer look at Spain.
Yeah.
Turned out that wasn't true, which we can get in a little further. But that's when I started looking at it and thinking, maybe Uruguay's not so great after all. and I don't, all I can speak of Uruguay is from 6,000 miles away. I've never been there, but there's a lot of it that was really appealing to me. But in the end, I was like, maybe not.
and that was more to do with
that-
me than him. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It does sound like a really great country. The thing that would bother me the most is the distance. It's really, really far.
That was
the United States.
my major issue, and his big thing he wanted because it was so far removed. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea. That's actually, there's a part of me that still wishes we went there. It's just a little more exotic sounding. Now, I did look on, I pulled up As the Crow Flies, which is, a website online. As a Crow Flies, where we are now is almost exactly the same distance as Montevideo from Los Angeles. They're both 6,000 miles away, but you can't fly directly to Uruguay. It's a pretty
Yeah.
long trip.
It takes a full day, I think.
Minimum. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long.
Yeah.
Usually takes about 24
Yeah.
hours.
And Spain takes pretty much a long time
Yeah.
too. So
Well, and also,
not as long.
I think psychologically, there's that thing that Europe is not as far as well.
Well, plus the fact that the latitude that we're on is also very similar to where we moved from. So temperature wise, technically is about the same temperature. It's just the major difference is we're right on the Mediterranean Sea. So therefore we get a lot more humidity than the high desert does. So
Gotcha. So specifically, why Spain? Because you did have the whole planet to think about. What narrowed it down to Spain?
Well, to start off, I think Brad can go deeper into it, but the start for Spain was because, again, we started exploring the options of me getting my citizenship back. And while we were waiting for responses back from the Spanish government to get my Spanish birth certificate, which he started investigating and looking into Spain, and I started looking at it independently of each other. Ultimately, I didn't have Spanish citizenship, but in the meantime, we both kind of fell in love with the idea of moving here. And I think Brad especially.
Yeah. Of the two, Spain is cheaper than Uruguay. And I know you had guests on before, and I don't know if they spoke to, it's expensive, surprisingly, to live there. It certainly is
Yeah.
not.
It's not cheap.
It's certainly a much more vibrant economy and government than people think it is, but it's more expensive. The infrastructure is not as strong as Spain. So when we thought that he could get his citizenship back and thought it was going to be relatively easy, that's when I looked at Spain and found it had those strengths. Now, why Spain instead of other European countries? It's less expensive than some of the others. And other countries that are less expensive are not as desirable. That they aren't necessarily bad countries, but a lot of them are Eastern European or close to it, or just didn't have, from a distance again, the sense of community that we feel Spain had.
Yeah.
And like Maurice said, and if she said, we were not running from anything. We were running to something.
Yeah.
And that's what Spain
That's
has.
important.
We wanted that sense of a community. We wanted the lifestyle. We say time and time again, we did not want to work 60 to 70 hours a week to buy things that we then didn't have time to enjoy. And that is Spanish culture.
Well, and we actually had started before even deciding on moving out of the country, where we originally were talking about Uruguay. We were actually thinking about moving into buying a tiny house and moving into a tiny house. So we were talking about paring down and going much simpler life anyway. So it just kind of made sense because most of the housing is fairly small, and you don't have the ginormous, 5-bedroom, 4-bath type of homes that you can get in the US in certain areas. And it just made more sense for us. So.
And what I'm really curious about, and I'm sure our audience is too. So the big one is you moved to Oliva without ever having visited. How did that happen? What made you so confident enough to do that? What went through your heads on the plane when you realized we've never even seen this place?
Those are actually really good questions.
I'll tell my side, because we have very different perspectives on it.
Yeah.
I have always had a sense of adventure. When I was with Marriott, I asked for transfers all the time. One, it was good for my career, but second of all, I just like trying new places, and I took jobs sight unseen. When I moved, I had an opportunity to move to Utah, Salt Lake City. And my vice president was like, well, you haven't been there. I'm like, I don't care. She's like, I live there. Are you sure? And I'm like, it's fine. I can deal with anything. I've always been adventurous. Not that I don't do my homework. It's not anything I think that much about.
He loves change for change purposes.
Yeah.
So,
Now, here's the different story.
For me, it took a long, long time. I like my comfort zone. I am very, very comfortable in that zone, and I don't want to move out of it. And he actually kind of pushed me into moving, not necessarily to Spain or anywhere else. It was just his sense of adventure, and I felt like it was something that would make him happy. And it was also getting me away from things that I was comfortable with that weren't exactly helpful for my life. So that was a big, big push for me.
Sense.
So what got us here?
How did you pick Oliva?
Like we talked about,
Oliva.
my being born here was very helpful, because again, it was okay. Can we get citizenship quickly? That was the catalyst for us really diving into looking at Spain. Brad did a ton more research than I did. I was familiar with Madrid, only in a sense that as a kid I lived there, but beyond that, we didn't do a lot of touring around Spain. My mom did a little bit. We, as a family, we did a few trips to different places in Spain. But I think Brad was the biggest catalyst. He did a ton of research. And
why we chose to come sight unseen. Another reason we looked at Spain is the second time his dad was stationed there, you left when you were 10.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd been a long time since he'd been there. And in a much different environment. But the other reason why we chose to come without seeing it is our circumstances, taking care of his mom and having to, if we flew around the world, checking out places, the expense would have been difficult for us given our situation, and the time involved to do that would have been a little more difficult than for most people, even though we have a little more freedom when it comes to work and that sort of thing. So that's when we really kind of decided we'll just do it.
But again, we didn't do it dive in blind. We weren't completely blind. We actually we took walking tours. We did a ton of walking tours through the town. Brad actually memorized pretty much most of the streets by going through Google and walking pretty much every street, looking at every different aspect of the street. So the place we landed on, we both started kind of looking at this town and landed on a place. We kind of fell in love with this little plaza that we're kind of looking at. So we've taken tours. We actually met people online that we got connected to, so that made it feel less like we're just jumping in blindly.
But how did you get to Oliva? Like, usually when people do their research, they look at Madrid, they look at Barcelona, they look at Malaga, Alicante, Valencia. How did you pick Oliva? I mean, throw a dart at the map?
You gave a pretty good list of our checklist of what we were looking for when we were looking for a place to live. And the 80,000, we wanted under 80,000 people. We wanted to be gay friendly, but neither of us have lived in a gay enclave. We always enjoyed going to West Hollywood, but then we wanted to get back out. We like diversity in every kind, and so didn't want to be that insular, and we didn't want a party town, which not every gay community is. Certainly Palm Springs is not. But we wanted it smaller. We came from LA before we moved to the desert. We didn't want to have to drive a car. And the only thing, well, I'll get into it. The only thing that was on our list was easy transportation. But what I did is I took this checklist and I went to Uruguay. This is back when I was still debating between the two. I went to Uruguay and I checked all the different cities that we would consider, because it always has to be on the ocean for us. And then I came here and did the same thing with Spain on the Mediterranean and narrowed it down to about 10 cities and 10 towns. And this was initially the up to 80,000. And then once I narrowed it down, we were like, do we really want to go that high? I mean, I know some people think, well, that's not very many. No, we decided we wanted to go under 50,000. And so I narrowed it down even further. And then the clincher, and he was doing work as well, so it wasn't just me entirely. The clincher was I then loaded our requirements into ChatGPT, and it came up with the same list. It saved me hours. It came up with the same list, almost identical to what I came up with. I'm like, well, there you go.
And doing my research on independently of his, I knew some aspects of Spain. I knew one of the major criteria we wanted was being beach bound or somewhere near the beach. And I knew I didn't want to do northern Spain, because unlike some people I've heard of, I know how cold it can get in northern Spain. So I wanted to make sure it was along the Mediterranean, but I also didn't want to do a lot of the touristy areas of the Mediterranean. So my criteria, I use a different AI, but I threw mine into AI, kind of giving the criteria and the fact that what we wanted, the place, the type of things we're looking for, because we actually discussed the criteria. So I didn't bother going through some of the research he did, where he was looking at tons of different towns. I just threw the criteria into AI and said, okay, give me 5 towns in along the Mediterranean that can meet this. And I think the top one was actually Oliva, based on the criteria that we had.
Now, I'm trying to picture where it is on the map. So it's in the Valencia or Valenciana community, correct?
Yeah.
Into that province. And it's along the Mediterranean coast of the Costa Brava, is it?
I think it's actually close to...
I'll tell you, real estate agents and the tourism industry promote that we're on the Costa Blanca. Technically, we are
Blanca.
technically we are not. We're just a little north of that. It's is Azujar. We're on Costa Azujar, which most people have never heard of. That means Orange Blossom Coast. But who's heard of that? So the tourism industry says we're on Costa Blanca. So
We're about 50 miles south of southwest of Valencia itself, and we're on the east coast of Spain.
and we're about 50 miles north of Alicante. So
Yeah.
we're really between the two.
Yeah, so you're close.
Yeah.
In between both.
Right.
Excellent. It's beautiful there. Actually, the Mediterranean the beaches are absolutely gorgeous there.
Yes, they
One
are.
of my favorite spots was Alicante.
Yeah. What was that?
So
I'm trying to think of how many blue flag beaches we have. The beaches here are just
yeah, we have quite a
award-winning
few.
beaches here in
Yeah.
Oliva.
Yeah.
okay, so do you know, like in your research, what's the weather like? Like what's the low in the winter and what's the high in the summer?
I'm relaying to him.
Okay, well, it's getting worse.
Apparently, we brought a lot of the cold weather with us because the Christmas Day, we have people who've lived here for 20-something years, and they're like, it's never rained on Christmas Day. It's always been sunny. So apparently, one of you is cursed.
Yeah, this mythical climate change that doesn't exist is impacting Spain. So I'll give you generally speaking, because it is changing. What is on record is normally our area gets into the low 40s, high 30s. Rarely, if ever, actually almost never, does it get to the freezing point, which we're now doing.
Yeah.
In the summers, it can get as high as 105 from Fahrenheit here.
Especially near the beach.
Those are the extremes.
Yeah.
Now, we are learning that I lived in North Carolina, so I kind of expected it. Most of the time, like today was in the mid 50s.
Mhm.
Because of humidity, it does feel colder here. And I do know, having experienced myself in the summer, it's going to be much hotter. So Spain is not this perfect weather that people hear about, but it's better than a large part of other countries and parts of the U.S. So
Yeah. The other thing is the buildings are also built so in the winter, it is warmer to go outside. So you see a lot more people out and about during the day because it is warmer outside than inside your houses because the houses are designed
Insulation.
for hot weather to keep it cool inside.
Right. Cool.
notice we're wearing sweatshirts right now, and there's a list of things that we heard before we got here, and some were 100% accurate, and some were not in any way accurate.
Yeah.
But one that we heard of that I heard all the time is when you go in the house, that's when you bundle up. Oh, it is true. I mean, there's very little insulation. Our walls are a foot thick or more
Of stone
of
and
stone,
concrete.
and a lot of homes don't have any air conditioning or heating.
Yeah.
We have small ones in the major rooms,
Yeah.
but
They're not.
I'd be wearing a
this is
hoodie.
designed for heat.
I'd be wearing a hoodie.
Say again.
I'd be wearing a hoodie.
We wear them in the house. If we go in the kitchen and turn on the heat before the room warmed up enough, we're sitting there at the kitchen table with our hoodies on.
I'm usually
So-
when we go in,
so
we
cute.
don't leave the heat on because otherwise the electricity just gets too much because we don't have solar panels. A lot of places are starting to get more and more solar panels, but not many have them yet. So but 9 times out of 10, cooking with my hood on.
So what surprised you the most in the past 30 days?
I'll take that. I'll let you go first.
Well, it's hard to say because there wasn't a whole lot that surprised us.
Yeah.
Because we did do so much research. I think the thing that surprised me most is how, and it's almost by choice for us, and it's probably the one negative, and that's how isolated we feel. And it's by choice for a couple of reasons. One, we don't know that much Spanish. So one of the things that we're told all the time is everybody speaks English in Spain. Well, if you go to the tourist district in Barcelona or Sevilla and hit Starbucks, yeah, they're going to speak English, but that's pretty much where it ends. I mean, when we were in both Barcelona and Valencia, we were not in tourist districts, and they spoke no English at all. We didn't
Or
really,
very little.
or very little, and we didn't really expect it here either.
Yeah.
But add to that there is a large expat community here, not nearly as large as some of the other. I think our expat community is 20% here.
Yeah.
Some of the towns here is as much as 70%. And we purposely, I'm not going to say we avoid it because we just went out and hung with a bunch of folks today. We are purposely not putting ourselves in that bubble.
Yeah.
We're
looking to go outside of, we want to actually connect with the local community so that we have better ties to the local community, not just the expat local community, but people
It's
who
not
were born
easy
and
to
raised
do.
here. Yeah.
Yeah. So, if we chose to go to just the British pubs, which there's a good number here, we
Most
went
of them.
just to the British pubs and hung out with other expats and only had to occasionally go to a supermarket and mumble our way through, which is what we're doing now. We could probably live here 20, 30 years and never really learn that much Spanish. And some people do. We don't get it, but they do. So this self-exiled thing that we've done is a little harder than we had planned. I mean, we're starting next week, we're going to have a tutor come in twice a week to spend time with us.
To work on increasing our Spanish knowledge.
Yeah. So we fumble our way through when we need things, but we want to be able to not just say hello, good morning, how much does this cost? We actually want to have
we want to be able to converse.
Yeah,
would be nice, even if it's just minimal conversation.
Yeah, I mean, eventually we'll have discussions, but just now we just like a minimal interaction, and we don't have that. It does. That's probably my big surprise is how isolating it does feel. We could change that overnight if we wanted to, though.
For me, the biggest surprise was in the U.S., and I think you're probably one of the questions you're probably going to ask is safety. I don't feel being a large, 6'3" black man in the U.S., I'm constantly wondering whether the police are following, whether people are monitoring what I'm doing, whether if I'm walking behind a woman on the street, I have to make sure, clear my throat, let them know I'm not a threat, smile at them. And, I don't have that here. I don't have that sense of threat from everyone. I don't have that sense of fear. Walking down, most of the streets have minimal light. They're not super bright. The streets are lit well, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of darkened areas and what have you, and people are going in and out of their homes. And the way the Spanish live, there's people who are getting into their homes at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night because they're just coming back from having dinner. And there's no fear of them looking over their shoulders as they're opening their doors. They're not checking to make sure somebody's behind them to try and jump them. So for me,
how does that feel?
Amazing, actually, and foreign, very foreign for me, because again, this is something I've lived with most of my life. So
I notice it every time that when we're walking down the street and somebody's going in their door, and it doesn't matter the age or the gender, they're unlocking their door and they're not doing this the whole time. They just unlock their door and walk in, and and like he said, I don't see the looks that he used to get in the United States, and the comfort level or people in the store clerks watching to see what's going on, and not that it happened every single time, but there was enough that I noticed because I'm aware that he's noticing.
But then
none of that.
The other thing is when we're walking down the street in the U.S., at least the areas we've lived, you're walking down the street and you see another person, and instead of actually talking to you, they kind of turn their head down or they look away. That's not happening here. They say "Hola, buenos dias," and it's genuine. It's not, "Hey, how are you doing?" Okay, walking by. I mean, they're not necessarily diving in for conversation, but
But it's the same thing. Even walking into any establishment, any store, it's always "Hola, ¿cómo está?" It's different. And I understand totally what you're saying about looking over your shoulder and making sure that somebody's, knows your presence. Because in Phoenix, when I just moved from Phoenix, we used to live right in Midtown, across from the light rail. And you don't know what type of characters are hanging out on the light rail. They're not really There's a lot of undesirable people around there. So if I walked the dog at 5:30 in the morning because we had to get out because of the heat, I would be looking over my shoulder and saying, is there a creepy person, anywhere around me? So I totally get that.
Yeah.
Beyond that, there's a lot of little things that we were told. We were told that people always dress more formally.
I didn't see that.
People are. I mean, there's more jeans and sweatpants. We were told they never go out in jeans or sweatpants.
Right.
There's more jeans and sweatpants than I've
especially
ever seen in my life.
on Sundays, most people are dressed up and they're ready to, I'm like, I think that's more of a regional thing because the people we were listening to don't live in Oliva. And I don't think any of them lived in Valencia region even. And so maybe in different areas. I do recall as a kid in Madrid, Sunday was family day. So you were always dressed up in Sunday clothes. That was when you, after church, you went to and met with other families, or you just had dinner with your family and you were still dressed properly for Sunday. Not a thing here as much. Yeah, it's nice because we're both casual people. I'm t-shirts and jeans. I hate having the formal clothes. I'm a t-shirts and jeans person. I'm perfectly okay here. So yeah.
And I found the same thing when we went on our trip for almost a month. Everybody was saying, "Oh yeah, the people, especially in Malaga, they walk around and dress up very nicely, nice pair of slacks. So you shouldn't wear." Your typical cargo pants, which I wear all the time, or jeans, because you'll stand out as a tourist. And when we got there, and we've been to 4 major cities, not one of those cities did we notice that people really dressed up so much, because we're t-shirt and jeans, and cargo pants people too, and sweatshirts. So so I brought them with me anyway, and we wore them. Yeah. So we didn't feel out of place.
Well, there's that whole formality thing that we were told beyond just dress. It was the way you speak. You're taught in school, "Buenos dias, senora Constantine." That's very, very formal. And we were told, when you move to Spain, that's the way you have to speak. You don't get too casual. We walk in and everybody's like, "Hola, ¿qué tal?"
Hola. Yep.
Yeah.
No, we were told that never
very
happens.
informal.
Yeah. And so those are some of the big things that we've noticed over the last 30 days.
Again, it's a big country. It's like the U.S. Yeah. You can go one region to the next. There's no blanket thing that you can say here.
What do you think is the biggest cultural adjustment so far? Because I know people sometimes, you're still in the honeymoon phase. So people sometimes get culture shock after the honeymoon phase. What's so far? Is there anything yet that you've encountered that's a cultural adjustment or a big cultural adjustment?
You have one?
For me, I don't think I actually had one. I think when we first got here, I think the second day that we were here, we actually started walking. We took a walk at night, and there was a nice waft of a flower blowing through and I just took a nice deep breath and was just like, so yeah, it felt like home the minute we were here.
How about bureaucracy? Is that a cultural adjustment to you?
No, actually. It's not, to me, it doesn't seem vastly. I mean, I know the bureaucracy takes a long time. It's like famous for how difficult it is to deal with. Right now, we are applying for my digital nomad visa, and I don't feel like there's been any culture shocks as far as that goes, because we were prepped for it. We actually did hire a relocation specialist organization. So Christopher and
Christopher
Huey. Christopher Huey. Yeah.
Which is fine.
Who I interviewed.
We both ended up on your show with
within a few days. Yeah,
Christopher's been great to work with, but
yeah,
I would say the biggest thing we had bureaucracy-wise with getting your birth certificate. It took a long time for them to validate, to research, and finally figure out, no, he doesn't have a Spanish birth certificate.
Yeah, because I think we probably would have been much further along the path, but I think things happened the way they happened for a reason. But yeah, it took beginning of 2024 when we first started asking. We hadn't even hired Christopher yet and asked him the question about it, and he dove into finding out the details about it.
Yeah, he gave a lot.
He
of
gave a lot of
about what he did.
information for us.
It's kind of crazy, but he did.
Yeah. So, but it was actually really nice. He actually put his lawyer team on it to go check and find out. It took them months, not just a few weeks, but months to get back to us. So most of the year we hadn't heard back from them, and he kept having them check back multiple times. So I think that was probably the biggest bureaucracy thing we've had so far. So
I have one adjustment, and it's kind of it is and it isn't right. And first of all, there was very little adjustment for us because we kind of knew what we were getting into. Not everything was 100%, but we got here and it's almost been anticlimactic because we felt instantly home. I mean, it just was like, I feel like I've lived, this place has been waiting for me my whole life. The one thing that's been a tough adjustment is siesta. And we love the concept of siesta. We think it's fantastic. There's nothing about it that's negative in our mind. Our problem is we forget. So we go out for a walk, and we've done a ton of walking. We love walking around town, and we'll be out for a walk, and we're like, oh, we need to go to the store before we go home. We're like, oh, it's too late. So then we have to go find a restaurant, and most of the restaurants close. So we eat a lot of sandwiches and kebabs. We'll be out. It's time to eat,
and those are pretty much the only things that are open. Is the cafeteria and the kebab places.
Yeah, the kebab places are all open, and we go basically to bakeries that have sandwiches. So, that is, and that's it. It's not that it's a negative. It's just we don't think about it, and we're like, oh,
it's different. Yeah, it is different. Yeah, when I was there as well. We were hungry because we're from the U.S. We were hungry at 7 p.m. because that's actually late for us, because we're usually like 6 early birds, and 7 p.m. we're walking the streets. I'm like, there's nothing open, and whatever is open is really kind of like crappy food.
Yeah.
So you either had to wait minimum at 8 o'clock, and you're lucky if you got something at 8 o'clock. And 9 o'clock is really the time that people start going out to eat.
Yeah, 9 is actually early for the most part. 10 is usually right about 9:30, 10 o'clock is usually when most start eating. And it's usually fairly light meals. They're not diving in for a heavy dinner like the U.S.
And 10 o'clock,
do a heavy dinner, and they don't do that.
And 10 o'clock, I'm in my second dream.
Well, we have the challenge that he has to be at work at 6 o'clock. Now we follow the Spanish meal times because they actually work very well for us. Our big meal for lunch, 3-ish, and then we do a lighter dinner, usually about 9:30-ish at night, because it works with his break time and that sort of thing.
That tends to be, because I'm still working with a company that's U.S. based. So I start work at 6, end at 3 o'clock in the morning, which people are like, oh my God. I'm a night person. I much prefer the nighttime anyway. So it was perfect time for me. And as far as the rest of it, it gives me plenty of time to be with him throughout the day. So we're constantly out and about throughout the day. And then I do see it. We have lunch, a nice big lunch. I siesta for about an hour and then go to work. And then
a literal siesta.
Yeah, literal actually sleeping for about an hour. And then I get up, go to work, and then at my lunch break is our dinner time, and we have a nice light dinner, and then I go back to work for a few more hours, and that's it.
And siesta doesn't mean sleep.
No, it's usually a rest time.
It's usually a rest time of just hanging out with your friends at a coffee house or a pub.
And family.
I remember as a kid, Warner Brothers did a cartoon, and it was supposedly Mexico, and the guy pulled out a bell out of his hat and rang it. Siesta time, and everybody pulled out beds and. But no, that's not the way what it's like. But we take the literal siesta time. The other actual thing is that we were always told, well, after the restaurants close, you can still go get tapas. So we thought, okay, well, we can't go get a meal. We'll go get tapas and fill up on tapas. And we kept like, where all the tapas that we're seeing aren't that great. And finally, we were told, oh, that's not a thing in our area.
Yeah.
So again, blanket statements aren't helpful.
There's 2 places in this area that do tapas on a regular basis. And most people are like, they're not that good.
Well, we like Bar Valencia.
I know. I'm not saying that they're not good. I'm saying people are talking about the fact that they're not.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like,
Right.
yeah, I'm not a huge tapas fan. I'm okay with it, but I'd
Yeah.
much prefer having the full lunch and then go for a small dinner.
And it's a good thing it's not a profit fan.
Got
It's
it.
not a thing here.
Yeah.
Got it. How about let's get into the cost of living. So, how does your monthly budget in Oliva compare to the old life in the U.S.? Not that old. It's like a month. Roughly, what are you paying for now in rent or well, you're renting, right? No mortgage. Utilities, health insurance, groceries, and eating out. Any wow that's cheap and wow that's expensive examples?
So rent,
Rent. And I looked it up. Our old apartment that we had in the Los Angeles area is currently going for $1,800 to $2,000. That's inexpensive for LA.
and it's a 1-bedroom studio style apartment with it's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, kitchen, living room area.
Very tiny, not the best. It wasn't a bad neighborhood, but not the best neighborhood in any way, shape, or form. And then we had utilities on top of that.
Yeah.
Here we're paying, well, I'll tell you, we're paying 800 euros, which is probably somewhere between 950, maybe 1,000. That includes all utilities. We only pay if we go a little over.
We only pay if we go a little over electricity, as far as water, electricity, internet, all included.
All included.
One bedroom, one.
No.
This is actually a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, kitchen, very large kitchen. Especially, I mean, besides for Spain, it's a large kitchen compared to where we used to live. Large kitchen. We're in we have a huge living room and terrace.
Yeah.
Wow. So it sounds double the size.
Quadruple. It's more like quadruple the size of where we lived in Los Angeles.
Yeah, and an incredible neighborhood. Have the terrace to go outside.
Yeah,
it is much larger the place than typical Spanish home, and larger than what we want.
Ultimately,
as much as we love it here, we probably would never buy it for that reason. Just the size. Gorgeous place.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like this. When it comes to our living space, it is a huge upgrade.
Yeah.
For less money.
So as far as budgeting for
and this is small town life. That's one of the benefits. Yeah.
Yeah. So budgeting for groceries and all that, we really haven't even taken the time right now to figure all of that detail out. I can tell you based on, because I'm the one who was doing most of the banking and stuff, it is a lot less than what we were paying for even in Apple Valley, California, which is less costly for the most part than Los Angeles. I don't know the exact budget, but it is considerably less than what we were spending there. And we go shopping at least 2 or 3 times a week, minimum.
Yeah, we do. We shop Spanish style. There's nothing in our freezer, very little in our refrigerator. We go out sometimes every other day to go grab what we need and come back.
So everything is fresh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very fresh. The food quality is so much better. In fact, looking at, he was comparing ingredients in cereals. There's about 5 in one of the cereals he was looking at compared to the U.S., which had 20 or 30.
20.
I think it was processed like this.
With all the dyes, and everything. Yeah. They don't kill you with your food in Spain.
No. And the
like
bag,
they do here.
Bag of Cheetos, for crying out loud. Bag of the cheese puff type of Cheetos, not the crunchy ones, which I know most people like. They're not orange. They're yellow. They're yellow.
Yeah.
It's corn.
Yeah.
So they're yellow because they don't add all of the colored dyes and what have you. Yeah.
Right. And that you get all over your fingers.
Yeah.
So I always feel like we're spending a lot more on groceries because we do go to the grocery store so often. Yeah. But it really, we should have come up with a list. But it's substantially cheaper.
Yeah. For us, at least.
How about utilities?
We don't pay utilities.
Cell phone.
Cell phone. Yeah.
Oh, it's included in the rent.
Right now we're doing a prepaid. So it's like 20 euros for 3 months. So.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
For each line.
Yeah. So it's 20 euros per line for about 3 months. We have, the cost for cell phone service. And it's people like, oh, well, it must be really bad cell phone service. No, it's actually, they're higher level a lot of times in this area than most places are. So we actually get 5G service in most of the area. So
Yeah, initially we were concerned because we heard that the Wi-Fi is great here, and when we got into the internet's great here, and we got into this house, and it was terrible. You know, he has an office downstairs, and it was terrible. And we're like, oh no, we were misinformed. Well, the problem is, it turns out when you have stone walls that are a foot thick, the Wi-Fi doesn't carry. So the landlord was kind enough to put an Ethernet cable down to his office, and you're getting better than what we had in California.
No, actually about what we had in California. So
Are you? If you're on Wi-Fi now, it looks pretty good.
we are actually on Wi-Fi right now. But my office, it was a combination. So we would have probably had major problems with talking to you because when we first moved in, being an IT professional, I went through some stuff and found out that it was not just the wireless connection, it was also the router that we were running off of. It was an old router. They came out, replaced it. That immediately improved the Wi-Fi connection. And then also on top of that, the landlord was kind enough to go ahead and put a hardwired connection into the office space for me as well, which improved my connection.
So to make this question simple, how much were we paying for a package in California for the Wi-Fi, internet, and all that?
It doesn't include any of that.
In California?
In California, it didn't include any.
But how much total were we paying?
Oh, gosh. It was
200?
Oh, God, no. The cell phones alone were over 200. It was like 250 for the cell phone service, and then it was 180 for the internet services. And so, I mean, we've cut it in an eighth.
Pretty much.
And we're also still paying for U.S. cell phone services only in the sense that we have for SMS services, because we need those for verification for U.S. banking.
Right.
That's it.
Exactly.
Well, we're paying on a month-to-month basis because we don't have a Spanish bank account yet. We could get one, but it's a little easier when all the dust settled. So you can't get one until you can't get a cell phone, or you can't get a long-term plan with the phone unless you have actually a Spanish account.
So you have a bank account in which you need an NIE or TIE
Well,
or whatever.
technically, you don't actually need an NIE or TIE for the bank itself. You can get a Spanish bank account without those. But once you actually get those, then you have to go through a whole bunch of hoops to try and switch it from that particular type of account to a different type of account.
Yeah, second set of hoops, and who wants to do that?
Yeah. So we were already on the path to go for the DNV and the NIE. So we figured we would just hold off and wait for it for a little bit.
So I did price if we both had a cell phone and internet service here, and at most it was 50, 60 euros a month.
Yeah. It was very, very cheap.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah. How about health insurance? What do you pay for health insurance?
Well, we actually paid for health insurance before I left. I can tell you my health insurance alone in the U.S., because he wasn't covered under my insurance, was my bosses were paying well over $2,000. We paid
and my cost, because I was on disability, I was on Medicare, and so I think my cost was because I had the plan. I think I paid $230 a month, which is cheap. It was over $2,000 a year for my plan on Medicare.
Yeah.
Now,
and we actually, just before leaving the U.S., we went ahead and worked with somebody here, insurance-wise, and got private insurance because it's a requirement moving here. We had to have the private insurance. Once I get the DNV, and start paying into taxes, then I can be on the public system. But
you have to pay into that too.
You pay into that only through taxes, so that goes through the taxes directly.
Yeah, there's Social Security.
So yeah, Social Security. But I think the plan would be probably to stay on it. But right now we paid about
2,200.
I want to say 2,300 euros. For the whole year for both of us. And that would be probably about just about 1,050?
Yeah,
maybe something like that in the U.S.
And Spanish law.
It's really cheap.
Spanish law is, or at least to get a visa, is even with private insurance, there can be
First
no
year.
copays.
Yeah. So we have no copays that we have to worry about. So going to see the doctor, that sort of thing. We haven't seen a doctor yet. I actually have an appointment this week. So we went to the local place, said, "Hey, I need to get medication
So
filled. Yeah,
Prescribed.
my prescription refilled." And of course, we've never seen the doctor, so they're like, "Oh, well, the doctor's not in yet." Okay. When is the earliest we can get in? And so they said next week. Okay, great. So we'll see what happens.
It's better than 3 months.
There you go.
Like here.
yes.
Yes.
All right. Very good. Lots of differences as far as cost of living between Spain and the U.S.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about housing and neighborhoods. Where in Oliva are you living? Is it like Center City, Centro Historico? Are you near the beach? How far is the beach?
The beach, I can tell you right off, 40-minute walk from where we live. We just did that this morning. So
Yeah.
Okay.
We live in Old Town. I believe it's very small. We saw it was a small town on Google Maps, and then we got here and we're like, it's smaller than we thought. We can cover this virtually the entire town in 15 minutes.
Yeah, any direction. Pretty much everything is about a 15-minute walk from where we live.
One of the reasons why we're 40 minutes from the beach is Oliva is 2 towns. You have the beach area.
Actually, it's kind of 3 towns, really.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, you count Old Town and New Town the same.
I don't.
So, but you have the beach area, and that is pretty desolate in the summer, in the winter months. And it doesn't get too crazy. It's mostly Spaniards that come here to vacation, and it's not huge like some of the other coasts. But then you have orange groves between the beach area and then town where we live. So there is that gap, and it's actually a plus because we'll never have that major influx that some towns look. Some of the towns that we looked at, like
Altea was one.
Altea and Villosa, look like beautiful towns. And then I looked during the summer months, they population increased tenfold.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen here.
Yeah, they're very crowded.
We knew we wanted to, from a distance, we knew we wanted to live in Old Town. It just really appealed to us. And we had our eye on this little square when we were looking called that's right outside, and it's a little placa, and it's Valencian, so we say placa, not plaza. And it's Valencia, a little different than the Castilian Spanish. And we kept seeing it, and we're like, God, that's such a cute little place. And we kept seeing places for sale, and we're like, oh, that would be really nice to live there. And found this place that we rented a bed and breakfast from this wonderful couple, Sean and Tony. Thank you, guys. And so I was talking to Sean, and I said, we don't want to move into an Airbnb unless we have to until we find a place to live. You do long-term leases. He's like, what are you looking for? And I described what we were looking for. And he said, let me get back to you. And I think it was the next day.
Yeah.
And this is why connections before you get here can be very, very helpful. I'm not, as much as I hate Facebook, I'm on there all the time. Yeah. So it's been very helpful for us. So the next day, got the call and said, here's this place. And he described it. And we're looking, he showed us the website. We're looking and we're like, wow, this place is perfect.
It's beautiful, blah, blah, blah.
And I was like, can you give us the address? He said, sure. And we're right on the placa that we've been looking at and said that would be our dream place to live. Yeah. So we are in Old Town. We love it here. We like the old streets, the narrow streets. Old Town and New Town are separated by what used to be the major highway through town. It's just a busy street now.
It used to be formerly the city walls of the city walls back in the 13th, 14th century.
Well, yeah. So it's actually where the city walls were. So when you're in Old Town and then you cross that, you get in the area. It has different names. So we call it New Town, and that's where things are a lot newer. They're still
old buildings,
50s, 60s,
US.
But they aren't hundreds of years old like where we are.
Yeah.
And we just love the atmosphere and the sense of community here. We don't speak English, but they're always having something out on the plaza, some kind of event. Yeah. And we wave at our neighbors and say hello.
We speak very little Spanish. So I speak a little more than he does. I understand a little more than he does, but It's still
My words every time were habla inglés.
that's usually the
And
first
if
part.
they say un poco,
Yeah.
then they're like fluent.
Some
They
are
say un
actually.
poco.
Actually, we have a lot of them that are like, no, habla inglés poco. I'm like, okay, and I'm trying to search for the words, but no, AI has been a big friend of ours because we're able to type in or say what we want to say, and it repeats it back to them, or you can just kind of show it to them.
Yep.
But
Google Translate.
yeah. So it's been very helpful in that sense. But we're trying. So when we're going into a store, we're not sitting there just going on our phone. We actually do come in and say, how
Try.
do you say this? What's the name of this thing? And the fact that we're asking how to pronounce it, they're much more friendly when it comes to that. So if you're not just coming in going, yeah, I want that
Sure.
thing. Yeah.
Right.
They
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
appreciate
like
that.
a typical U.S.
Yeah.
They really appreciate that we try. They correct us when we're wrong, and not in a mean way. They can tell we're trying to learn.
Yeah.
So they're very nice. They say, "Oh, you say this." And it's very helpful. They're incredible. And I'm going to say we're ChatGPT or just AI in general because he uses a different program than I do. I'm going to do a warning, and then I'm going to tell you what we do. The warning is we have used a lot of AI to learn about moving here and learn about the area. We both have done a lot with computers, and we know not to trust it.
Yeah.
It's a great starting point, but then
Yes.
double check everything you
Right.
learn. A lot of people, like there's a woman we're
Yes.
in a group where, and actually one of Christopher's group is always just telling people, just go to ChatGPT, you'll learn everything there. And we're like, no,
It's not always correct.
It's a great starting point, then double check your answers. So and that's what we did. Now,
Absolutely.
where it's helpful now is when we go to a restaurant, I snap a picture of the menu and upload it to ChatGPT, and he tells me exactly what the menu is. So that is really helpful.
And see, I'm one of those where I'm looking at it. I can read more than I can actually speak. So I'm actually looking at it, trying to read it to understand it before I dive into the AI.
You could actually, I think through your camera or through Google Translate, take a picture, not even a picture of the menu, but you could hover
It'll hover over
menu
the
and
translate.
it'll read and it'll translate
Yeah.
it for you.
Yeah. So that's very helpful. And when we go into a store, if we know what we want to ask for, again, we don't want to sit there doing this on the phone. We will stand outside and we'll look at it and we'll practice a few times.
Yeah.
Don't always get it right once we get inside, but we do try to practice a few times.
Yeah.
And we go through and fumble it, sometimes horribly so.
Well,
and I can't do the accent, so they never understand me at all. But like we said, as long as you're trying, they're patient.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah.
And speaking about community, what is it like being gay in Oliva? Does it matter?
It's
Is
a
it
non-issue, quite
integrated?
honestly. It's just nothing. I mean, there's a lot of gay people, and there's a fairly large gay expat community in the area. In fact, we just met up with them this morning, our time, and you, God, what, 40, 50 guys usually on a regular basis?
No, there were 20.
Wow.
About 20 or
There were
30?
about 20 this morning.
Okay.
They meet twice a week. Fridays before the Friday market, our outdoor market every week, or actually during it, there's a coffee get together.
Yeah.
And then on Sundays, there's always a breakfast together.
Yeah.
And then there's so it's a local based thing.
And then they go and do several events. They travel together to go to like Benidorm for various events there. They go to movie things in Valencia and Gandia. So it's very active actually, which is one of the reasons we were kind of looking at one of our criteria is we did want to have an active gay community. So that was a big plus for us as well.
Do you hold hands going down the street, or does it matter, or you just don't do that?
We rarely did that anyway because my height, the height difference between us, it's kind of comical almost because I'm 6'3",
How
he's
tall are you?
5'5", and when we're holding hands, it gets to a point where it's like I'm kind of leaning over.
I mean,
yeah, well, I mean, in Los Angeles, we would hold hands occasionally. It's not comfortable for us in that physical sense. We would hold hands.
Well, in the U.S., yeah.
When we moved to the desert, where it was a very conservative place, I don't think I felt safe.
No, he didn't feel safe at all with it. So
here, I probably would feel safe. I mean, you tell them we're together, we're a couple. My God, you'd have to be blind. And there's no.
And even if you don't speak the same language, I'm pretty sure everybody in the stores and everywhere else we go know that we're together.
Well,
So.
especially
They
something
know.
little.
Yeah.
So,
But the beauty of it is they don't care.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a non-issue.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter at all.
the city does different pride events and does the rainbow flags, and we're basing this on flyers that we've seen that have gone out because there hasn't been a whole lot since we've been here.
No, plus the fact that they actually hosted the Gay Olympics at one point a few years ago.
The Valencian, the local Gay Olympics, not the national.
I'm not taking it. I'm saying what I saw on the sign. It says Gay Olympics. That's all I'm caring about.
Yeah, it was.
So
it was here, and also the international gay leather. I don't know, one of the international
leather.
Actually, I don't even know it was a leather, but one of the contests for like Mr. Gay Spain or whatever. The regional one was held here in Oliva as well, and like you said, it's a non-issue. It's not even discussed.
Yeah,
and we have this group that we hang out with. I mean, 28,000 people. Who would think there's a little group that gets together twice a week? I mean,
that's pretty awesome.
So it's been a good thing. Yeah.
Has it been hard or easy to make friends, whether they be locals or expats?
I would say as far as friends, it's more acquaintances right now. We've made some really good connections before we even moved here, actually. So Facebook has been a really good, positive thing for us there. As far as here, I would say we've made some decent acquaintances because we've only been here for a couple months at this point. So we haven't had a chance to really get to the friendship level, I think, for me at least. I don't know how Brad feels about
that
it.
much.
Yeah, we haven't made any close knit friends. Part of it is the hours. A lot of folks here are retired, and with him working, and I spend time while he's working. I'm writing or either podcasting, so usually writing, and so that kind of curtails it a little bit. And we have not gone to any of the outings. It's we said we don't want to live in a gay enclave, but we love the fact that we all we got to do is when they have one of the big events down in Benidorm,
you have the choice.
We're like, hey guys, can we ride with you? And boom, we're there. So we can go be gay for the weekend. Be over the top gay for the weekend and come back. And so kind of the best of both worlds in that sense. And we haven't done that yet. So
because again, we've only been here for 2 months. We're still settling in, and we're trying to figure what our day-to-day lives are really going to be like. So.
But the community,
I pretty much follow you on Facebook, so
you see everything we do.
Good idea.
Yeah, this morning we were having at breakfast. These two guys, we found out they live just up the street with us, and they're like, "Oh, when you walk by number 15, just knock on the door and come on in." So, we're not concerned.
Yeah,
gotcha. Let's talk a little bit about transportation and walkability. Can you walk everywhere? Can you walk to the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker,
all of the above and more. So we've actually, in fact, this afternoon we walked from the beach, which was a 40-minute walk, came back and had lunch at a local restaurant just off of the Paseo. The Paseo is a big walking area in town.
Walkway.
Fairly decent sized walkway in town that runs, for the most part, most of the town. I think the length of it. I mean,
it runs.
It runs pretty much the length of the town. And then from there, after having a nice relaxed lunch, we went over to the butcher and and got food there. Got some meats and stuff that we needed for the next couple days. That's it. So I mean, everything's pretty much 15-minute walking distance.
Bank is walkable. The doctor is walkable. The hospital is walkable.
Yeah. If you ignore the beach, everything is 15 minutes from us. Pretty much everything. It's, the gym I joined it because it's only a 4 to 5 minute walk, whereas the one that I was looking at otherwise was 12 minutes. I'm like, I don't want to do a 12-minute walk in the morning.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't either. I would never make it there.
Yeah, right. I'm sure you saw when you were here. When you go to the supermarket, at the front of the supermarket, there's a whole bunch of chains hanging down. It's because your little wheelie carts that you take They're lined up because everybody
Right.
puts their carts there and chains them up while they go shopping and then loads up their groceries and wheel them home.
And then loads
And if
them
you're
out.
shopping, it's actually kind of interesting because most people tend to have those wheelie carts instead of shopping bags and, throw them in your
Right.
car. And so you have the wheelie carts because most people live in town and they walk back and forth from home. And they go from store to store getting the stuff that they need. And as you go into the major supermarkets, they lock up things and you don't worry about somebody stealing your stuff because it doesn't happen.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
happen.
So it's been quite nice. The walkability, bikeability. So the nice thing is in town, very easy walking, not a problem for us. It is, I will say, it is not at least the old town is not a handicap friendly location.
No.
There are several places where as we're walking through the streets, they have sections that are set up for like handicap parking. So that you can drop somebody off that is handicapped, but it's not necessarily making it easy for somebody who's handicapped.
Is it cobblestones?
It's mostly cobblestone and cement. Yeah,
And the
throughout.
streets are very narrow with really ledges that are sidewalks that you have
Yeah.
you basically jump onto them when a car drives by.
Yeah, and the cars are not slow. They do not. They stop
Right.
for you, but they don't slow down for you.
Think of a James Bond movie where
Right.
they're flying through the little streets in Europe. That's our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Even Newtown's not real handicap accessible. It's not like
no.
if you're used to the U.S.
No, but I mean, as far as it's much more flat. Newtown area is much flatter. I think most of the apartment buildings in that area tend to have elevators, so it makes it a little easier for somebody who's handicapped. But like, there's a couple streets in this area that if you're in a wheelchair, you're not getting up those areas.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's just not going to happen.
But
Do you have
when we did our checklist of things that we want, one of the biggest must was, and it was a deal breaker. It has to be a walkable city. Because coming from California, we said when we leave here, we never want to own a car the rest of our lives. We don't mind driving. We don't want the upkeep. It's just a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So we did not want
I
that,
hear you.
and we found it here.
Yeah. So the other,
Do you have buses or trains?
the local bus leaves at 7:00 in the morning to the beach, and comes back at 7 p.m. from the beach.
Thereabouts.
That's it.
So
Oh,
there's no
wow.
public
Yeah.
transportation in our town at all.
So how do you get down the coast to like Alicante or Valencia?
So those we would actually. So the nice thing is the next largest town to us would be Gandia, and it's actually a 30-minute bicycle ride, like pedaling bicycle ride. If we were to walk it, it'd probably be about an hour or two.
Yeah, about an hour.
Yeah,
I think.
about an hour and a half walk. So we would take
There's always
that.
Uber.
We would get public transportation from there. So we would take a train from there, probably up to Valencia, and then because I don't think Gandia has a direct route to Alicante.
No, we actually would probably take a bus.
Oh, okay.
I looked today to get to to get to like Benidorm is like a 45-minute drive, or down to Alicante actually.
Mhm.
Like a 45-minute drive, and if we caught the bus, it's going to be about maybe 2.5 hours.
There is actually a bus that does go through here.
Yeah,
that takes you
bus
to
goes
Alicante,
through,
but it's very rare.
yeah, and
often.
the train is probably about the same and going to be more comfortable. The problem we have right here, Spain is famous for having its great transportation system. There used to be a train that ran through here, and in the 70s, the tracks it just got too old, so they ripped them up. And Franco didn't like our area because they weren't ones that kissed Franco's ass. Excuse my French. And so he didn't do anything negative to the community. He just ignored the community. So the train tracks were never rebuilt. And so it makes it a little isolating, which actually is a plus. It's one of the reasons why
The town has not built up.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not
So-
a huge tourist spot.
that was the one.
Where
That
do
was
you,
the one big one.
where do you
we
travel?
didn't do.
Say again.
Where do you go from to the airport? Which airport?
We actually decided to to fly into Barcelona because it was $1,000 less to fly into Barcelona, and then take a train from Barcelona to Valencia rather than flying to Valencia directly. But
we're equal distance from the airport in Alicante and Valencia, and most people fly in and out of Valencia. It's easier for us to get to, even though they're different.
How do you get there?
We would bicycle. Basically, we would either bicycle or we would take a taxi to Gandia. Gandia to
Gandia.
We would get on train in Gandia and then take that train to Valencia. Yeah.
And there's taxi service. I mean, when we came into town, we got to the train station in Gandia, and the owner of the bed and breakfast came and picked us up. It's a quick trip.
Yeah.
But if he didn't do that, we could have easily caught a cab.
Yeah, it's about a 15-minute drive from one way from Gandia to Oliva. So,
but the thing is, unlike the U.S., where if you have two towns that are 15 minutes apart from each other, they really are one town. They're just grown together. There is open space between the two.
Yeah.
Spanish move up, not out, and there's not many independent homes. They're usually townhouses or high rises, or what we
apartments.
They consider high rises. They're pretty.
I think the maximum height is like four or 5 stories.
It's a little more than that, but not huge. And our area has a restriction, so nobody's doing major blocks of the coast. So there is that green space between the two. So that is one of the things that was not on our list, was that we did not get it from our list, which was easy access to a major city. Yeah. But it's not so severe that we think it's a big issue at all.
Plus, the nice thing is the bicycle and walking ability between Gandia and here is a nice orange grove. So we'll be able to bicycle through the orange grove and not necessarily pick oranges, but the aroma will be amazing during the blooming season.
And ironically, it's where the train track that used to be there. It's now the bicycle path. So it's still working.
Got it. Let's talk about visas, and we talked about a little bit about bureaucracy, but visas. You're working on a digital nomad.
Yeah, so we're actually applied for. If I had applied for the digital nomad in the U.S., it would have only given me a year's visa, whereas applying in Spain, I actually get 3 years. So.
That's pretty good.
So when we arrived, we immediately reached out to our relocation specialist, and I cannot say enough, absolutely hire somebody to do the relocation portion of it. You will be very grateful to do so, because it's not going to be easy trying to deal with all the bureaucracy, and they pretty much deal with most of it.
But, and let me clarify. So we were working with the relocation specialist before we got here.
Yeah.
We did everything that could be done from the United States before we left. And then he's like, okay, you're done there. Yeah. When you get here, let me know. And that's when we hit the button.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of paperwork and all that you have to do in the U.S. First of all, passports, the typical stuff. So passports, you have to have birth certificates and FBI background checks. And
Apostille.
Yeah, you have to have all of these. You have to have a lot of these things. Not all of them, but a lot of these have to be apostilled both by some by the government, by the federal government, and some by the state government, depending on where you are. And then once those are done, one thing we always thought, we're like, okay, well, how do we get these mailed to you? No, they're all digital. So as soon as you get them, you scan them in, and you email them off to the people that are working for you to do the relocation. So once we got everything, I scanned all of the documentation in, and that was pretty much it. So once we had everything in place, marriage certificates and everything else, all of that stuff apostilled, we got all of that saved and sorted out, and then we send that off, that information off. So the minute we landed, got settled for a day, we sent an email off and said, here's all the details. So,
and as far as the documentation goes, some of it has to be apostilled, some of it does not.
Yeah.
Some of it has to be officially translated, which you have to use a certified translator, which is costly.
Yeah.
And then some of it, they're perfectly fine if you use AI.
Yeah.
It depends on the document.
Yeah. Pulling up Google and saying, okay, this is the translation. It can be shoddy translation for very few items, but most of the stuff, if it's apostilled, there's a handful of things that need to be both Google translated and a handful that need to be officially translated.
And Brad, you're on the NLV?
No, Because he is on the
Non-lucrative?
digital, I'm here as a spouse.
Yeah.
So I technically don't have to have a visa other than there as a spouse. And the funny thing is, for the digital nomad visa, you have to work remotely. You can't.
I have to agree to not take a job from somebody who is a
From
native
the Spaniards.
Spanish person.
So
Right.
no more
So-
than 20, 30% of his work. He only has one client, but if he had multiple clients, only 20 to 30% of his work can only come from Spain. But the funny thing is, as a spouse, I could go get a job anywhere. So he's not allowed to, but because I'm not here on that kind of visa and I'm not here on an NLV
That's
visa,
a good deal.
it's kind of a weird like loophole that they just haven't worried about.
Yeah.
I could go get a job anywhere if I wanted to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't let the secret
Yeah,
out.
exactly.
Yeah. So the digital nomad visa makes it allows me to continue working, where the NLV you're not allowed to work in Spain. So you agreed basically,
Okay.
no, I will not be working in Spain.
And the digital nomad
And you're
visa-
applying for the 3-year.
What was that?
You're applying for a
We're
3-year
applying for
digital.
it's kind of automatic. So if I had applied for the digital nomad visa in the U.S., I would have had to have gone to the consulate. I would have had to go through different steps there, and it would have only been a year visa. However, since we're applying inside Spain, it's automatically a 3-year visa.
Not only is it short visa,
Good
the
deal.
consulates make you jump through a whole lot of hoops,
Yeah.
and they all act differently. So the consulate in LA is going to be much different than the consulate in Dallas
Right.
to the one in
Right.
They are trying to fine tune that, but as of yet, it's a mess.
Yeah.
And so we had less hoops to have to jump through. So basically, we came here on a 90-day vacation visa and just aren't leaving legally.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's better than going through BLS in the States.
Oh,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
BLS, I understand, has been, especially right now with all the stuff going on, we'll leave it
Even
at that.
to get an
becoming
appointment.
much harder. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
get the
Yeah.
3-year visa in 3 years, assuming we're going to stay, which I can't imagine not. He can get another 3-year visa, but wouldn't even need to use that because once we're here 5 years, we're on a permanent resident basis.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So walk us through a typical day. What do you do? Like, that's different than the US. Is there anything that you do?
Different.
well, I'll start because I get up before he does. I really follow the Spanish dining lifestyle because I get up and have first breakfast, and then later I have second
They have
breakfast
two. Yeah.
with him, and then we do dinner, and then I do a snack, and then do lunch, and then a snack, and then we do dinner late.
Yeah.
So my day begins. I get up and I do my first breakfast. I
That's
start the gym.
usually about 6-7 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah, 7.
Bread and tomato?
No, I usually do like an egg bite. I have to have protein.
He does typical time frame, not food. per
But
se.
it's light.
Oh,
But it's
okay.
definitely light. I either do an egg bite or some yogurt, something small like that. And then when he gets up, that's really what we do first thing is when you get up.
So when I first get up, I go in and I usually have like toast and orange juice for breakfast. It's pretty much most of the time for my breakfast, because by that point it's 10-ish, because I'm going to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning most of the time. So around 10-ish, I get up and go in. He has second breakfast. I have only breakfast. And
then we almost always leave the house.
yeah, pretty much. So we just kind of like, oh, what are we doing today? Oh, we're walking. Okay. Oh, we need to go shopping. Oh, we need to do this. So we just get out and start walking. And there's times where we're just walking all over the city, just checking places out and looking at different things. And oh, hey, we hadn't seen that before. And we still, I mean, the amount of walking we've done so far, we still haven't even seen all of the city.
But even if it's not always
Yeah.
just exploratory. We just enjoy being in a place where we can walk.
Yeah.
Sometimes we've been up and down the Paseo 1,000 times, and we still just enjoy going up to the Paseo and walking around.
Yeah.
And there's always something we need to shop for. We only came with 9 bags,
Yeah.
and 2 of those were carry-on bags.
And
So-
clothing was 14 days worth. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So
So
we have lots of little things that we're buying here and there. Nothing. We got the stuff that we need urgently. So
Mhm.
if we don't need groceries, there's always some little store we can stop and get something we
Yeah.
need. So there's always something going on.
Yeah.
And then
once if we're out and about still, we'll go have lunch somewhere. We'll stop somewhere and have lunch. If we're not, then we come back here. And I'd say usually around during the week, Monday through Friday, it's usually around 3:30 that we end up having actual lunch.
And that's our big
full-on
meal.
That's our big meal.
And he's an incredible cook, so that's fine.
No, thank you. We tend to have
I'm coming over.
we tend to have a decent sized meal, usually a dinner sized meal from the U.S. standpoint, and then I
Gotcha.
go to work. We then do siesta. 9 times out of 10, he's doing siesta with me anyway because him being up super early, and then we tend to go rest for a while, and then I get up and go to work at 6. So I work Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. to 3 a.m. And I know a lot of people think I'm crazy. I'm a night person. I prefer it. So it works perfectly for me. And it works perfectly for the schedule that I need for the U.S. because I'm working with a company that is Pacific time. So,
Yeah.
And then dinner time is my lunch time for the U.S. And so I usually take that around 9:30, and that's when we tend to have our light
And that
dinner.
works out.
Yeah.
So it actually works out well. You know, we get to spend the day together, and then after our big lunch, we do our siesta, and then at 6 o'clock, he goes downstairs to, in the U.S., what would be the second floor. They call it the first floor here. He goes down to his little office, and I pretty much leave him alone there. And then up here on the third floor, I have a desk here in the office or in the living room. I sit down, I do my writing then.
Yeah.
And then we get back for dinner, and then I go to bed usually midnight-ish.
At 2 a.m, you were up last
Yeah.
night. Not that I'm stalking
Well,
I mean, we kind of advertised that one, so.
and,
with the festival.
there was a big festival right outside our window that was had music blaring till 2 a.m.
Music.
Yeah.
We knew that was going to happen, and that's all part of the fun of staying in Spades. So
Yeah, so we actually have been enjoying. So if there's a festival or something else going on, we deal with it as it is. But 9 times out of 10, if it's during the week, I really can't participate in it because I'm working. So
that's a negative. Yeah.
Right.
that is one negative that I'm finding. But again, once we get settled, get things kind of situated, then I can easily schedule things off for the various events and all. So, yeah.
So we're boring. If it really comes down to it, we're boring.
You're just as boring as I am. So that's the same as me.
Yeah.
So it's not boring at all. It's what you're into. So, okay. Do you get a chance to like sit at a coffee place and watch people?
We do the watching people as we're walking by because most of the time it's more walking than it is sitting. But we do actually go to restaurants.
sitting,
We do
having
go
coffee.
to coffee shops.
I go to a coffee shop usually once a day. I used to
you
go more
than I do.
I used to go
Yeah.
first thing in the morning, but now when we're out walking, we always stop and have a coffee, and probably too frequently have a Danish. So we are going to
Well,
cut back on that.
let's clarify. You have a coffee. I have chocolate. I
Yeah,
hate
exactly.
coffee. So
But we do stop and have our little break. We got a couple of favorite places that we go to, and
Yeah.
you know, like
Do you
coffee
have-
here
does
is much
Olive-
different than the United States. There is no chain
yeah.
restaurant here. You know, the green place that I
he doesn't even want to say the name. So
I'm so
anyway.
grateful there's not one in our town, and the closest one is in Valencia, which is 50 miles away, and they can stay there
Starbucks.
for all I care. There is actually one a little closer, but I don't count it because it's inside of a resort, and that's fine with me.
I think that the biggest like the chain type restaurants as far as a U.S. level chain restaurants, there's a Burger King down near the beach, and there's a McDonald's just at the edge of town. That's it.
And I like to say that the McDonald's is in a perfect location because it's right near the waste treatment plant. No, but as far as, you know, reason I'm bringing up Starbucks is this whole mentality of you run into the coffee shop and get a cup to go in a paper cup. That I've never seen anybody
No.
ever do that here. It is ceramic, and you sit down and
Right.
you're there at
It's
least
coffee
30
con
minutes.
leche.
No, that's not true. Because you have also people who run in and just get a shot of coffee, and it still comes in a ceramic cup, but it's an espresso shot.
Right.
That's pretty rare.
But I'm saying I've seen several people that come in when we're sitting there. They'll come in, they get a shot, they get it, pay for it, and they're out the door.
You know what's funny? In the States, I drink black coffee. So, and when I get to Spain, for some reason, it's café con leche.
Yeah.
So it's coffee with milk steamed, and that's the way I drink it.
Yeah.
You know, it in Spain.
Well, you kind of have to because everything here is espresso. So if you want more of a
Yes,
traditional
it's too
American
strong.
coffee, you'd have to get Americano, which
Americano.
is espresso with hot water in it. Yeah, if you're looking for the traditional American coffee, you're not going to find it. But you won't. I've never seen a laptop ever in a coffee shop.
I have,
Very rare to see.
but it's very rare.
It's very rare.
Yeah.
It's very rare to see somebody sitting by themselves. It's a social hour. So you go and you plop yourself down and you chat with your friends.
Yeah.
And if you only have one cup of coffee and you're there for an hour, nobody cares.
Yeah, it's not even necessarily a social hour because the times that we've gone haven't always been at lunchtime or at breakfast. It's been various times. So even in between those normal times where people have breaks, you see people in the different cafeterias and pastelerias having a coffee, and they're sitting there chit-chatting with a friend. They're having a pastry and they're having coffee, or they're having milk, they're having whatever, a beer, cerveza, and some pastry. And they're just chit-chatting. And they're sipping at their coffee, they're sipping at their beer, and that's it, which is kind of cool.
Probably a
Do you-
slight negative
Do
is,
you have a
as a writer, one of the things I like to do occasionally was to go to a coffee house just to have a change of environment. I would never feel comfortable doing that here.
To write.
Yeah. Just camp
Do
in
you
the coffee
guys-
shop.
you guys have a menu del dia, menu of the day
Most
with
restaurants
like a
have a menu del dia.
3-course?
Yeah.
You can
Okay,
You
for
can
really
get-
inexpensive.
you get a salad or a entree or a appetizer, and then you get your main meal, which is like what I get the other day. It was just like a tuna steak and some side.
Yeah.
And then you get a dessert or coffee. And the place we tend to go to the most for that is about 13 euros.
Yeah.
There's a Mexican or not Mexican place, a very Spanish right
Like right down the street from us.
that
And
we
they're
love.
like $12.50 there for their menu del dia. So again, you get a lot of food for very little money.
A little money. Excellent. Excellent. We'll touch upon safety. We did before. Do you think, is there any like petty crimes? Do you notice like pickpockets or not even that?
During the high season, more so. We've actually read some articles and what have you. I know, what, about 3-4 weeks ago at the Friday market, they arrested a couple people who were pickpocketing patrons of it, but it's not something that you hear about a lot.
Actually, yesterday somebody posted that they're writing during the Friday market, right? The market, somebody stripped their bike. That's really, that's petty crime, and it's not all that common.
Yeah.
So we haven't experienced ourselves. What I can tell you from what we've been told, the two things that you need to worry about here are, well, three things. One is pickpockets, and that's mainly during high season. That's pretty much anywhere you're in a vacation community. You're going to have that. The other thing is little scam artists like, I don't feel well. Can you help me up? And it's really a pickpocket kind of thing. Somebody still comes around and takes your wallet while you're distracted. The other thing is, we haven't seen ourselves, but I heard quite a bit about it, is burglaries here in Old Town.
Yeah.
And the reason with all the flat roofs and everything connected, it's like a burglar's dream come true.
Paradise.
So nobody has like sliding glass doors out to
the terrace.
Yeah.
They have a security door that locks from both the inside and outside if you're on the terrace.
If you step out on the terrace and look around, it makes sense why that would happen. It's all petty.
We had one neighbor that actually told us of a armed robbery type of situation, but that kind of went south quickly because they contacted the police and the people ran off. Again, the person who was at gunpoint was telling us that they are former military, so they recognized when the gun was empty So they knew the person was trying to rob them with a gun that had no bullets in it.
And sometimes you kind of get a skewed thing because when something like that happens, you hear all about it. It makes you think this is a crime. The reason you hear all about it is because it's not normal. Here's the key. There was a woman that was murdered, and our town council also got together and did a silent vigil in the middle of the day. Then a second woman was murdered about a month later, and our town council got together and did another silent vigil in her honor. Both of those murders took place 50 miles away from us. They wouldn't even have made the news in the United States.
Yeah, it would have, but not in the same thing.
So one was down in Alicante, one was murdered, so they divided 50 miles away here in our town, they did a silent vigil. And then the other one was up in Valencia. Again, they decided, and that tells you a lot right there.
Yeah, it's not like everybody, there's no mass shootings.
No.
For the most part, guns are illegal, except for maybe hunting. And there's no gun violence. So
Not a regular thing. So, and actually we've heard gunshots going off, but we realized they were filming something for Netflix. So
Netflix made a movie. Yeah.
yeah. So it literally a church that's like right around right down the street from us was filming. They were filming a period piece right there, and they were shooting muskets off. So we're hearing gunfire, and it's like it wasn't shocking
like,
because
what's
we
that?
knew that it was something that was like at first we're like, oh wait, that's right, they're filming. Okay,
But even when they're not filming, we know it doesn't concern us. We know somebody's doing something.
Yeah, somebody's setting off fireworks or something. It's a non-issue. Yeah. So just out in the for New Year's, we had it was very quiet until all of the church bells throughout the city started to start ringing, and then fireworks were going off throughout the city. So again, not a big thing there. So.
And looking forward, do you see Oliva as a long-term home base, or is it too early to tell?
I don't know about Brad, but for me, second day we were here, I was home. We're done.
Yeah,
So-
you never know what 6 months from now. I mean, we're talking about. I can't imagine it possibly happened. 6 months from now, we may have said, "Oh, we made a mistake. This isn't it." That's the reason why I can't. I'm really surprised when people move here or anywhere. I see expats that go and immediately buy a house.
Yeah.
But we also were living with mom, so we didn't have somewhere that we had to invest our money into.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do you
Mhm.
know? So it was not even
Right.
anything that we would have considered. We wanted a rental. We wanted because
Yeah,
even if we
part
stayed
of
in
our plan-
Oliva.
Yeah, part of our plan was that, automatically we're renting for the first year. We're not renting for a couple days or a few months. We're renting for a year anyway. That was part of the plan. So, and that was pretty much anywhere we went to, we would be renting for the first year before we decide, okay, this is where we want to be. So,
Yeah, so because we thought we want to live in Old Town Oliva. Even if we end up loving Oliva, we'll want to be in Old Town. And what if we don't like it there? So, but as of right now, it's home. We can't imagine that we won't stay.
Awesome. All right. In closing, who do you think would thrive in Oliva?
say that again.
What kind of person would thrive in Oliva, moving to Oliva from the U.S.?
You want to go first?
Yeah.
Your opinion?
I can tell the person that wouldn't thrive. That's actually a little easier. If Madrid
Okay.
or Barcelona or any of those cities are your thing, that's wonderful. You're not going to be happy here. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you don't want to live in that tiny little town, that dirty little town." I'm like, "That's what we want. Just chill out." I would never. If somebody wants to live in Madrid and be, where everything's more expensive, but it's fast paced compared to probably not compared to the U.S., but I would never try to convince them to move to Oliva. They would be miserable.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
but if there's somebody that's looking for a slow pace, very traditional Spanish where siesta does exist on a regular basis. It does exist in the cities, but a little scaled back.
Well, in the bigger cities, it's actually much less because the business pace is picking up, and there's a lot more younger people who are just not interested in doing siesta.
Well, they also have to
So-
do international business.
That's what I'm saying.
That makes
so
it more
it's a
difficult
combination
as well.
of those. Yeah.
If you're looking for a sense of just a community where people are friendly, where you can walk,
Well, no. I feel like I disagree with you on that portion of it. For me, I think somebody who's looking for a small town feel, I think could thrive here. However, you also have to gauge it. If it's a small town feel that you want, but you still want to access to all of the big city amenities, then go to a city that's a little like double the size. There's lots of towns that have a slightly larger population that have more amenities because it's a larger population.
Right.
If you're looking for old traditional Spanish homes, old traditional Spanish aspects, at least in the Valencian area, because every single region has its own culture, its own language. There's 4 official languages in Spain. So, yeah, that should tell you something there. And all those are based off of the various kingdoms that were part of Spain, battling over Spain in general. So, for me, I think somebody who would thrive here, somebody who's looking for a small town feel, who's looking to integrate with the community, not just live in the community, live in the area, I think would thrive here. I think people who have lived here have some connection to the community. They've learned at least some Spanish to be able to get through it, get by. So to me, I think that would be more the people that would thrive here.
And the other thing is regarding the car thing. When we got here, and we still hear it, probably about 50% of the people were like, "You can't live in Oliva without a car. You have to have a car." And the other 50% were, "Yeah, I've lived here for 20 years. I don't have a car." That's a whole different mentality, and that's fine. Because a lot of folks, usually the folks that say you have to have a car, like to take off to Dinya or some of the other larger cities on a regular basis to go to dining and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's not us. Again, if we wanted to do that on a special occasion, we can get there we can rent a car or
either
whatever.
rent a taxi, we can rent a car, whatever. So yeah, it's, again, I think somebody who would thrive here would be somebody who's looking for just a small town feel. Whether you're looking for cars or not, you may or may not be jumping in your car to go grocery shopping because pretty much everything is 15-minute walking distance.
The other thing is if they don't want to feel like they're living in a resort community, because we love Old Town. We love the charm of it. We love the cobblestone streets and the white walls and that sort of thing, and the narrow streets. But if you're looking for something like Altea or some of those other areas where everything's whitewashed, beautiful, absolutely not whitewashed, but everything's crispy white.
Mediterranean.
What you see on the postcards, and absolutely beautiful and sparkling, where they had real estate agents help pay to make them look that way, and they're gorgeous. You're not going to find that here. This is a working class town where, we had one person say it was scruffy, and that's true.
It is, but it's an old working class town, and it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pristine and perfectly clean. But honestly, I'm actually surprised. I think one of the things you had asked about earlier, and it just dawned on me. Even though it looks dirty, it looks kind of scruffy, it's because it's an old Mediterranean town. It has a lot of moisture, so the mold and everything you're going to see along the walls, in the crevices, you're going to see moths. But the one thing is, it's a clean town, because in Old Town, you don't have machines driving up the street cleaning the streets. You have people physically walking with brooms. Sweeping everything up. The bigger machines go down to Newtown, and I think the only place I've ever seen them actually drive is on the Paseo itself, where they use the machine to sweep up a large amount of stuff.
And actually, when the Friday market is over, which is a huge market, very busy market, when that's over, within 15 minutes, they have 2 trucks and
100
people working, and they come back later in the evening and do the same. So now, I had one thing that you haven't asked about, and that is, again, going back to coming sight unseen. Our good friend Christopher, the relocation specialist, was on your show, and he emphasized not to move to Spain or anywhere without checking it out. And I agree with him. It depends on the individual. So what we did, the packing up and just coming here, not everybody can do that.
No.
We made the decision that we felt 99% certain that we were making the right decision on where we chose to live. There was that small percentage of us that knew that we may have made the wrong decision, but we were okay with that, because you know what? We can live anywhere for a short period of time and say, you know what? We had a pretty good experience. Let's move on now.
We actually also looked at it as an adventure.
An adventure. So
and a life experience.
Yes, and not everybody can do that. And if you can't, it's okay. Then you probably do want to scout things out. If you feel like you can do the adventure, do what we did. We don't. I don't regret it. No, we don't regret
So,
it.
and I think one of the things you had asked us, or had mentioned was the how did we feel getting on the plane? Were we nervous? Were we worried about, oh my God, we could have made a big mistake? Honestly, the only thing I was thinking on the plane is, oh, they have all our luggage. Okay, everything's settled. All I have to worry about now is, do I have to pick up anything when we land in Lisbon? Because we did have a layover in Lisbon. Nope, didn't have to worry about any of that. And then fell in love with the fact that, oh my God, we're in a completely different country. And instead of paying $50 for a crappy burger and fries and a drink, we spent maybe 20 euros for, Brad had a salmon steak with mashed potatoes that was freshly made. I had a salmon
in the airport.
In the airport. And I mean, the food was amazing. And it's like, it's high-end restaurant level in the US and it's commonplace here. It was our first experience in Europe. And then we went from Lisbon to Barcelona. And then, when we landed in Barcelona, it was so late in the evening. We didn't do touring in Barcelona, so we really didn't do dinner there. But they had a breakfast at the hotel that we were in, and it was amazing. It's a buffet breakfast that they were making all the food fresh, and it was gorgeous.
So, really nice train ride. So the reason I bring all this up is, as soon as we landed, and immediately could tell we were in another part of the world, not just physically, but mentally. We were like, we're home.
Yeah,
it's not Kansas anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
There were no questions of like, oh, did we do the right? No, it was, once we were on the plane, it was like. But I mean, my sigh of relief really didn't happen until the second day we were here. Like I said, when we went walking that night, and it was just like, I had to stop him because he was like, okay, let's go walking. I'm like, no, stop for a second. And you hear that? First of all, there was no sound. There was nothing. I mean, you have the dog barking and things like that, but it was pretty much quiet. There was a nice light breeze. It was unusually warm that night too. And it was just, you breathe in, there was a lot of moisture in the air, and it was just like, it was relaxing.
Very refreshing.
Yeah, it was our second day here. We were on a very narrow cobblestone street, and there was a tiny street light, and it was like being in a movie.
Yeah.
How romantic.
Yeah. Immediately, like, we felt like we'd been here for a lifetime.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much for this opportunity to speak with you on your adventure. I am very excited to follow you guys on Facebook and see what's going on.
Thank you.
I do pretty much on a daily basis because I'm always on Facebook too. And maybe our listeners will also follow you guys. And if they do have any questions, can I send them your way?
Yeah, actually, Brad actually convinced me to start a YouTube video with him. So we've got 2 so far.
Oh, I've seen one.
Yeah, we've got 2 so far
I've
out.
seen one.
And he's working on, we've got a couple recorded. But he's working on editing them with all of the settling and trying to get the holidays and everything else.
I understand.
Yeah, so
I understand.
We know you do.
So yeah, it's called Our Chosen Spanish Life
on YouTube.
So you can find that on YouTube. On both Instagram and Facebook, anybody can friend me because I'm a writer. I accept everybody's friendship, and if they're idiots, I just block them afterwards. Mine is at the Brad Shreve.
Yeah.
And also, if I can do a plug, my writer's website is bradshreve.com.
Sure.
And he's the easiest one to get in touch with anyway, because he's got more of the social media presence than I do. So reach out to him.
And if they want, they can find.
They'll find me because I'm
find him
connected
through
to
my
him one
account.
way or the other. So yeah.
Good deal. Very good,
All right.
guys. Thank you so
Take
much
care.
again for coming, and we'll talk soon. Okay, I look
right.
It's
forward
been a
to
pleasure.
it.
Yes.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Where Do Gays Retire podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to our podcast and consider making a donation by clicking the coffee cup on any page at www.wheredogaysretire.com. Each cup of coffee that you buy costs $5 and goes towards helping us continue the podcast. Thank you for your continued support.